My name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. I have been solving data sufficiency problems for GMAT out of this book here, GMAT Review, the official guide, 12th edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You will be able to find it easily at mba.com. The problem that I'm about to solve is the one that you're going to find on page number 274, data sufficiency problems, hence the DS. The very last one on the page, number 26. It is important that you have the book in front of you, that you turn to that page and read the problem with me. I do not need to say that. You will not follow it unless you have the book in front of you. So let's read it together, okay? It says the number n of units of its product that the company X is scheduled to produce in month T. If you do not have the book with you, you're lost already because you don't know what I just said. You have to have it with you. The number n of units of its product that the company X is scheduled to produce in the month T of its next fiscal year is given by the formula 900 divided by 1 plus C 2 raised to negative T. One more time. I'm going to write a little bit better here. 900 over 1 plus C times 2 raised to negative T. That's the formula that the company uses to figure out how many units they're going to produce in a given month. The given month is represented by the time unit T. T represents the month. It says right here, it goes on to say where C is a constant. C is a constant value. It does not change with anything. And T is a positive integer. T is a whole number between 1 and 6. T is a positive integer between 1 and 6 inclusive. So T goes from T equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. It's an integer. So in other words, if I wanted to find out how many units this company is going to produce in, say, in the third month, what I would do is the number of units that we're going to produce in the third month, we will figure out by dividing 900 by 1 plus C times 2 raised to negative 3. Well, as you can see the problem already, we do not know the value of C as of yet. So the statements that they are about to give, statement 1 and statement 2, our job is to figure out if there is enough information in statement 1 or statement 2 by itself, or putting them together to ascertain the value of C, where C is constant and T is a positive integer between 1 and 6 inclusive. What is the number of units? What is the number of units of its product that company X is scheduled to produce in the month 6 of its next fiscal year? So our job, they're asking you what is going to be n. Let's put it here, the question. What is n when T equals 6? That is what they're asking us. Now, we don't actually have to calculate it, you understand? We just have to be smart enough to answer them whether or not we have enough information to be able to calculate the number of units the company might produce in the 6th month. As of right now, we cannot because we do not know the value of C. So let's look at the first statement. Statement 1. Before we do any work at all, since this is a data sufficiency problem, the very first thing we should do is to write down on the side AD, BCE. AD, BCE. Because the answer is going to be either out of this group or that group. Let's look at the first statement. The first statement tells us the company X is scheduled to produce 180 units of its product in month 1 of its next fiscal year. So we know that in the first statement what they're telling us is that when T equals 1, N equals, in the first month they're telling us they are scheduled to produce 180 units. Voila. And I hope that you're able to see right away. That if I know t, if I know the value of t, put in 1 here, and if I know the value of n, which is 180 here, then the only unknown that is left in this equation is c. And that can be solved very easily. Well, when I say very easily, depending on person's mathematical ability, obviously. But the point here is that it can be done. We can figure out the value of c very easily. Well, I should keep saying very easily. It can be done. Once we know the value of c, we can answer this question. Once I know how much c is, we can produce. Question is what is the number of units they're going to produce in the 6th month? We know the value of c. We can put in 6 for t, for time, and we can figure out how many units they will produce in the 6th month. That's all. So the first statement as it stands is enough. The first statement as it stands is enough. So we know that the correct answer, whatever it is, cannot be B, C, or E. It has to be either A or D because the first statement by itself is enough. Okay, pay attention now. The amount of the kind of work that I'm going to do, the kind of work that I'm about to embark on, is not something that you will do in the real exam. Of course we are practicing for the real exam, but at the same time we are also learning. This is also for the learning purposes. So it's okay, well, not okay actually, I would encourage you to actually solve them just to learn the math that is required in the exam. Do you understand? Just to brush up on your math skill. So I'm going to actually show you how to figure out the value of c from here. Once we figure out the value of c, we can put it in there and figure out how many units they will produce in the 6 months. So let's figure out the value of c. The very first thing we should do is, you see this part here, let me put it in a different color so you can see it. Two raised to negative t, I find it annoying. 2 raised to negative t, I find it annoying. Listen, I'm going to erase all of this thing here also because we know what the question is and we know what t stands for. T stands for time period. Time period expressed in months, being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. There are 6 months in the schedule. And the question simply is, what's going to be the number of units they're going to produce in the 6th month? So I'm going to erase this thing because I need the room. I'm also going to put this in here. AD, BCE. I find this annoying. See this thing the way it is written here, 2 raised to negative t, I find it annoying. I like to have a positive exponents. So we're going to write that as 1 over 2 raised to t. That's all. And if I lost you here, if you're confused at this point, I'm sorry, but I do not have the luxury in a short clip to actually explain every steps of the mathematics, but I'm pretty sure that most people are going to be okay. When you have a negative exponent, when you write it 1 over something, it becomes a positive exponent, 2 over t. So I'm going to do that here then. So we put this as 1 over 2t, which is same as c over 2t. Voila. So we get rid of the negative exponents. So let's figure out the value of c, because that's what we need to figure out. Once we know the value of c, we can figure out what the n is going to be, what the number of units that are going to be produced in the 6 months by putting it again in this formula. So let's figure out the value of c using this information. When t is 1, n equals 180. So 180, which is your n, equals 900 over 1 plus c over 2 raised to 1. Well, 2 raised to 1 is just 2, isn't it? Now I hope, again, I'm reminding you that the kind of work that I'm doing right now is just for learning purposes. This is not what you will do in the real exam. So let's pick up speed here. 2 raised to 1 is just 2, so 2 raised to 1 is just 2, so I'm just going to erase this one here, it's just 2. I'm not going to explain every step, I'm just going to do it here. 900 over, take the common denominator, you'll end up with 2 plus c over 2. 2 plus c over 2. And this 2, if you multiply top and the bottom by 2, this 2 will end up on the top. There you go. And here we have 180. Now I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation. I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by 2 plus c. So this 2 plus c cancels out. And it ends up here. This is called cross multiplication. So that's gone, and what we are left with is this. 900 times 2 is 1800, and that gives me 180 plus 2 is 360, or 180 times 2 is 360, plus 180C. Let's subtract 360 from both sides. Let's subtract 360 from both sides. 7. 180C. 180C equals this. Now I'm going to continue this work up here, and once I have the value of C, I'm going to put it down here because I want to do the statement 2 over there. So I'm going to continue here so that you can actually see the work, so that it's not too far down, because I don't know how far down you can see in the camera. So 180C equals 1440. Stay with me in the story. I'm going to pick up the speed because I think I'm taking too long. Let's cross out the zeros, divide both sides by 10. Let's divide both sides by 3, so this becomes 6. If I divide 14 by 3, that's 12 has 4 threes in it. Remaining 2 goes here, becomes 24, and that becomes 8. Let's put 48 here. Let's divide both sides by 2. 24. Let's divide both sides by 8. Voila, C equals 8. There you go. Once we know that C equals 8, we can put it in here and find out the number of units that we are going to produce for any month. Just substitute the value for T and just solve it. That's all. That's all it is. So as we said before, statement 1 by itself is enough. Let's look at statement 2. Statement 2 says, and I'm going to quickly go in the run in the back of the camera because I want to know how much time I've taken. Okay, just give me a second. Yeah, you see this is getting to be ridiculous because I already spent 12 minutes into it, because I tend to explain every single steps, which I would not if I was dealing with a person, individual person, because you can tell how much they understand by talking to them. But in your case I do not, because you are not in front of me. And I cannot find the problem. Oh, there we go. The second statement says, company X is scheduled to produce 300 units of its product in the second month. It's the same kind of information. If the first statement by itself was enough to figure out the value of C, so is the second statement. The second statement they tell us that the company is scheduled to produce 300 units, n equals 300 when T equals 2. There you go. And if I were to do the same work that we did here, we should find the same value for C. The information in the two statements are always consistent. If one statement tells you that C equals 8, the second statement should not give you anything other than 8. They're consistent. I'm going to very quickly do it here without actually explaining too much here. So n equals 300 and 900 over 1 plus C over 2 raised to 2, which is 4. Again, the same thing. Multiply, so you get 900 times 4, bring the 4 on the top, 4 plus C equals 300, and then multiply both sides by the denominator here, so 300 times 4 is 1200, plus 4C, how come we had 180C here? Oh, it's not 4C, it's 300C, equals 900 times 4 is 3600. Subtract 1200 from both sides so that this 1200 goes away. Here we end up with 2400 equals 300. Voila, 2400 equals 300C. Cross out the two zeros and 3 goes into 24 8 times. Voila. You see, C equals 8, same thing. But the point is, once you know the value of C, you can figure out how many number of units you need to produce in the 6th month or 5th month or any old month from 1st month to 6th month. That's all. That's all there was. I want to wrap it up now before I go over too much time. I hope you found it helpful. If you wish to get hold of me for personal private tutoring, I do face-to-face tutoring. I tutor over the Skype, through internet, and I also tutor over the telephone. If you need to get hold of me, please go to my website at www.prep, GMAT.com and send me an email. Or you can go to www.keshwaniprep.com. Alright? Thanks.